everybody, welcome back to the Nexus, where we spotlight some of our favorite local businesses. Today we have a wonderful local business that was started here in our community, Bison Inc. And I have Nick Cusick here. He's the founder and CEO. And I also have Jennifer Rawlinson here, and she's their marketing coordinator. We're just so grateful to have you here today to tell us your story and let people in the community know more about what you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate you having us here and
and
highlighting the stories of other local businesses as well. So that's great.
Well, we always like to start the show just with a little bit of your background, where you come from, and why you started this business and how you kind of got to where you're at today. So that could be as long or as short as you want.
I'll try to keep it reasonably short.
Okay.
In the interest of time, I moved to Lincoln when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
From Fremont up the road about 50
Wonderful.
miles.
Northeast Nebraska.
Yep. And so moved here and went to Pius, junior and senior year. Graduated from Pius. Happened to meet a gentleman by the name of Elmer Wessel my first day of school at Pius. It was the only person I knew in Lincoln. That was the first person I met in Lincoln because we'd moved during the summer. And we walked into school together and became friends and ultimately business partners. And
yeah, you said you started the business together.
And I guess the rest is history. I often use the word serendipitous.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a serendipitous happening. We happened to park next to each other in the parking lot at Pius, and we were both driving little British sports cars. And I had an MG and he had a Triumph. So I guess it was meant to be. And we were friends through high school. I went to the University of Nebraska, got an MBA from the university.
Great.
He went to Southeast Community College, got a degree in machine tool technology. So he was really the manufacturing guy, and I was more the business guy. And we were both working elsewhere, and I'm sure it was probably over drinks sometime, or maybe when we were playing golf or hunting. We both were somewhat dissatisfied with our jobs, and we were both entrepreneurial, and so we started talking about, hey, do you want to start a business? And I had actually quit my job, and I was married, had 2 kids, Jennifer being one of them. So we started kicking the tires on, what kind of business would you want to start? And, we talked about, because we were 22, I think, 21, how about a bar, how about a restaurant, or whatever. But he had some machine tools, some machining and manufacturing equipment in his parents' garage. So ultimately we decided to start a manufacturing company in his parents' garage.
Oh my goodness.
So
I love that story.
So that's how we started in 1974. And I guess, again, the rest is history. So we've grown incrementally over that 50 years.
Oh my
Been in business 50 years now. So.
Well, I have a follow-up question.
We didn't make.
Yeah, that's my follow-up question. What was the first product?
Yeah, actually, we were what was often referred to as a job shop, meaning we did manufacturing for other companies. Our first customer ever was Kawasaki Motors. They had just moved to Lincoln at the time, about that same time. So our first little project was for Kawasaki Motors, and we did work for what was then Square D Corporation, now Snyder. We did work for Goodyear Tire and Rubber, now Continental Rubber. And that was kind of our client base. So we were not in the sporting goods equipment at that point. So this is from 1974 till about mid 80s. We were not in the sporting goods market at all. But like all job shops who were doing manufacturing for other people, you start to have a hankering to have your own product line.
Right.
And we were.
And you see the margins are going to be a lot larger there.
You're right. So we had our company was mostly male dominated employees. I think we only had a dozen or so employees, and we had a men's softball team.
Yeah.
And which of course mostly is an excuse to get together to drink.
Right.
Clearly. I mean, let's face it.
We as a company have a sand volleyball team, same purpose.
Same concept. Let's go do a little sand volleyball, and then let's go and have fun. So
team building.
Team building is team building. So
that becomes
we
your
did that.
family, really, your coworkers. You spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
But at that time, baseball or softball players didn't carry their own bats and their own whatever. It was team equipment, and typically the team equipment would be thrown in an old Army duffel bag type of a bag. And so my business partner was the coach for 2 weeks when our actual coach was on vacation. And And he had a fairly new car, and he was upset about dragging this dirty bag and putting it in his trunk and getting his car dirty. So he invented this little baseball, softball equipment carrying device, and came to me and said, "Hey, I've invented this thing. Do you think we could sell these?" And at that time, I said, "Well, not under the brand name, because our company name was Industrial Machine Specialties." Because it was more told the tale of what we actually did at the time. And I said, probably not under the name Industrial Machine Specialties, but so that's came up with the word Bison. It was Midwestern, it was strong and durable, it was outdoorsy, it was, whatever. Seemed like a good name at the time.
I've always wondered the reasoning behind the name, the connection.
Came up with it, hate to admit it, so but statute of limitations has run out. I was going to a meeting in Omaha, driving a company pickup to Omaha, and I had a dictionary in front of me as I was driving, and I was flipping through the pages and just came across the word bison and thought, oh, that's...
Yeah, but it has Midwest,
That's the one. So,
right.
so our first logo came from our marketing company, and it cost us $100. It was a clip art logo. So and we had that for 10 years. So and then we just kind of grown. So we got into basketball. I mentioned serendipitous. We started with this baseball softball thing, and it was marginally successful. But we were at a national conference, national show where we were exhibiting, and our independent reps. We were selling through independent reps across the country, and one of our independent reps, we asked them, how's it going? They said, well, we love your product, but we're never going to sell 1 million of these. Can you make anything else? And we said, well, what?
Yeah, what are people asking for?
Well, they said, if you could make basketball rims, we could probably sell a lot of basketball rims. So that's how it got in.
Oh my gosh.
We hadn't planned to get into basketball. It's just, again, serendipitous.
Well, sounds like the name of the company was a little serendipitous.
Yeah, it was. It's one of my favorite words. It kind of rolls off your tongue.
I think those are the best businesses. You're just willing to, provide what customers need, and you may not know that until later down the road.
So. That's what they say in school. You can create a market.
Right.
If people want to buy things, you can provide it. You can't make them want to buy something.
Right.
Yeah.
But and it was about the same time as breakaway rims were kind of entering the market, and so
it was new.
People
were going to be replacing.
Soon after that, breaking backboards. So there's a lot of interest in the market at that time.
Yeah, and it was new, so people had to, replace the existing with the new product. So
and at the time, we have competition, obviously. But not as many people in the market as you think, because we're institutional. I mean, we make home residential basketball, but it's an incredibly small percentage of our business at this point. A lot of people in Lincoln think of us as being home basketball, driveway basketball, but most of our sales are institutional, as in schools and YMCAs and park and rec departments. So, but at the time we started getting into it, 3 or 4 of our competitors were kind of in turmoil. They'd been bought out and changed management, changed marketing strategies and whatever. So realistically, good for us, bad for them. They made it fairly easy for us to slide into the market.
Okay.
So
that's so interesting.
It's really helped us.
I was just telling my exchange student how we used to just share bats and helmets and stuff when I was a kid playing softball. So it's so funny that that was one of your first. It was your first product that you manufactured, and there was just an evolution of that, and now everyone has their own bag. So.
We quit selling that product. Once we kind of got into basketball and got some traction on basketball. First was basketball, although we moved into volleyball and soccer, and our marketing tagline is a pickleball. Yeah, our marketing
perfect, genius.
Everyone wants to talk about pickleball.
Fastest growing market, right?
Right.
And I think you should be so proud. Like you're even an international company where you do sales all over this beautiful earth. So.
One of our marketing partners that we advertise with said they were watching the Olympics, and South Sudan does not have a single indoor basketball gym. So they had to travel to a neighboring country to prepare for the Olympics. So I reached out to our international sales manager, and I'm like, well,
I know a guy.
In South Sudan? Looks like there's a market.
Wow.
We're growing. We deliberately, about 3 years ago, had an opportunity. a gentleman who'd been with one of our competitors as their international sales manager. They had done some restructuring and whatever, and he was no longer with that company, and he came to us and said, "Hey, I'd love to work for you." So he already had 10 years of international sales experience in our marketing space. So he's done real well. Had a lot of contacts. So we've really kind of beefed up. But we'd always done some international sales, but
it was
more
just more
deliberate now.
if they approached you.
Yeah,
or,
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So doing more aggressive that way. We're still way less than 10%. We're probably in the 6 or 7% international, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
seems about right.
Right now, depends on how you consider Canada.
Okay, well,
or Puerto Rico. Or Puerto Rico. Is Puerto Rico international? I don't know.
Step Grant thinks Canada and Mexico are still international.
They are. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sure a lot of those people are finding you through your website. We've been fortunate to be able to work with you on maintaining your website and
great.
Multiple websites over the years, and it's really fun to learn more about your company all the time and what you're doing. So
we're excited to have you take over our social media too. That'll be fun to have a little bit more professional approach.
Well, we're glad to do it.
It's a good partnership.
Yeah. And I love that you guys have it, family owned and operated still. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and
I was just thinking on the way here, the first thing that I did for the company was sharpen pencils, but it was on the weekend, and so we were just going in to kill time because kids had nothing to do way back.
And she wasn't 20 then.
No,
she wasn't employed. She was doing it on a volunteer basis.
Child labor
back when
laws.
there was actually pencils. That's when there
were child labor laws.
When it was still fun to sharpen pencils. Whatever age that is.
Yeah, it was great. But I actually started working part-time for Bison when Nancy and Laura needed help in the summer, and I think your partner Elmer actually was the one who talked about joining the company as an employee after I had been elsewhere and finished school and all of that. So it's been a lot of fun. When we first started, we had 3 different companies to market, but every time we add a company, we get to learn new things about new markets, like what are the intricacies of what an architect wants to see and hear and learn about compared to a school, compared to a sporting goods store. So the marketing channels are kind of exciting if you like marketing.
I mean,
a little bit.
I mean, like a lot.
It changes all the time.
That's what's so fun about what we do.
Nothing boring about being in marketing.
Right, exactly. I say that all the time. And so I think it's really interesting that you did go out and work for another company, at least before working,
I had no
for the
intention
family
of
business.
working for Bison.
Yeah. People say that's a great thing to do, though.
Actually, you had a stint at Bison first.
I did. When I was working in customer service in the summer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't, have a desk or anything, though. I had to, kneel down and print things out on the one laser printer that we had in another building. But I took phone calls and proofread price lists and, what any summer job person would be doing.
Absolutely, intern type of work.
Yeah, and then I worked for an investment company, and I worked for nonprofit junior achievement for a few years, so that was a lot of fun too. Well,
that's a perfect segue because I know you guys are so involved in the community. What are some of the things that you've been supporting over the years?
We better cover junior achievement first because they just moved into our offices.
Okay, let's do that.
Well, their lease was going to be up this summer, and so they're actually moving into some space that will be vacated on the first floor this fall when we move into our expansion out at the warehouse site. But they're kind of just filtering in and amongst the rest of the Bison staff right now on the second floor. So that's been kind of fun.
That is cool.
A lot of our employees volunteer for junior achievement in the classroom. They've been part of the golf event. They've gone to the auction and bought items. So but we do.
Well, that's kind of a natural fit too, because it's working with students and you're providing.
Well, my sister and I were in the company program when junior achievement offered that. So
that was
it was
the
high
evening.
school
That was
students.
the evening. For 30 weeks or something like
Originally it was 30 when I was, I was down to 20. But
and what's
you actually
the
start
purpose?
your own company.
Oh,
you
how
sell stock
fun.
to create capital, to develop a product, to manufacture it, sell it. You paid your employees. There were sales bonuses, all of it.
That's amazing.
So
and you were how old
that was
when
a great
you
experience.
went
That was
through
high school.
I would have loved that. That's a really neat program.
Yeah, no, it's actually making a comeback.
Cool.
So maybe some kids around here will get a chance to.
So
do
the
that.
evening program was the original JA program.
Okay.
It was the only thing
for
they had.
high school students, and then over the years, as they, kind of retooled themselves, they kept that for a long time, and then they did more stuff in school.
Yeah.
With grades all the way down to kindergarten, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
such a
that-
great program.
So that's what JA is
Looking at programs up to
today.
age 25 now, because as we all know, the need is great. When you get out of school, you don't know everything about financial literacy.
It becomes so much more important. They realize how important
I have to
it
pay
is.
taxes.
Oh,
What
what
is
is a
this?
budget?
My first involvement in junior achievement, since we're talking about junior achievement, was hauling Jennifer or Sarah, our other daughter,
Yeah, we
Sarah,
couldn't drive.
up to the Goodyear space, up at the Goodyear plant. There's a building right next there that had been donated by Goodyear or given free, no cost to JA to use for this after school evening program. And so I was taking them up there, but I think they both kind of picked their careers in large part based on their experience. Sarah is our director and works in the company as well. She's our director of human resources. And Jennifer, always liked marketing. She was, I think, 3 out of the 4 years was the president of your company and your JA
And the one
company.
year that I wasn't so great.
We kind of like both. We're both getting cut out of the same cloth. We're both like,
Yeah, it sounds like you
to
like
be in
control.
charge. Control freaks. And very entrepreneurial, I guess. So,
Yeah. Well, you learned from the best, I think. So.
But we're involved. We're heavily involved in United Way. We have well over 50% of our employees contribute to the annual United Way campaign.
Oh, that's awesome.
That we do.
Which helps so
teammates,
many
yeah,
organizations in our community.
We have teammates, the teammate program. I'm on the national teammate board.
Oh, wow.
Tom and Nancy Osborne had started the teammates program. So involved with that. I've been on a whole bunch of boards. Jennifer's Lancaster Event Center.
Yeah, Santos Global
Board.
Event Center, right?
Santos Global, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, marketing.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of employees who coach not just their kids' teams, but give back to the community through their church. And it does seem to be very much part of the Bison culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've attracted a certain type.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm assuming that there's always some turnover and you guys are looking for employees. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, we have about 100 employees altogether. Okay. Many incredibly long-time employees. I happened to look at the plaques on the wall of the 10-year and 25-year employees the other day because we were looking to, are we going to upgrade that plaque when we move to our new facility or what? So I happened to be looking at it, and I was kind of amazed how many people that are still there after all those years in a time frame when people churn jobs more. That's just when the unemployment rate is near zero. Plenty of opportunities out there. So we have an awful lot of long-term employees, both administratively at high levels in management, but also in the plant. We have many people in the plant. In fact, our current plant manager has been with us 25, 30 years. Started just on the floor.
And the one that retired before that started at 16.
Started at age 16.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And there's a lot of room. You really recognize employees that are doing a great job, and there's opportunity to move up in the company.
So at any point in time we have, and right now, for instance, we have a couple. We just had a meeting yesterday. We have a couple openings, mostly at kind of the entry level. This I would never call it non-skilled, semi-skilled, if you will, that are learning their way, maybe hanging parts on a powder coating line or assembly and packaging items and stuff, and that's where a lot of people.
Right, so you don't have to have experience in manufacturing.
You don't necessarily have to have experience. Certainly it's helpful, but we do hire programmers to program machines, and we hire tool makers and welders who come with skills. But that's probably about a third or a half of our employee base come with a specific skill that's needed in our organization. So
we're actually moving to all the under one roof except for some of the administrative functions, so it'll be really efficient and nice to have everyone in one place.
The collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I love that things are, made here in the United States,
I would say most of our competition, quite honestly, even today, and while there's been a little bit of movement back from China or offshore, there's been an effort by, just kind of across the country to reshore. There's a word, I can't remember what the terminology is, but even now, I would say one of our big niches is that we are compared to all of our competitors dramatically more heavily a U.S. manufacturer. We still import like netting. You can't buy sports netting in the U.S. It just really isn't a source. It's all made in China. We can buy
actual fat, like the material that it's made out of,
like the basketball nets or the volleyball nets or the soccer nets. That kind of stuff comes from China, for instance. But so I think we advertise that. I think that 90% of our product is domestically sourced and domestically made, and that probably compares to many of our competitors who are in our markets, probably 25%.
Right.
So I think that's a niche that plays well in our market.
And there is a trend of people looking for manufacturers that are supporting.
Yeah.
It was really an advantage when the supply chain disruptions happened that we're still reeling from, but at least people have adapted. But being able to have a large warehouse full of inventory to still ship when people needed it made a big difference. And we weren't waiting for suppliers on the other side of the ocean.
Right. There's so many little avenues we could go down, but I want to kind of bring it back to you and see if there's, is there anything else that you really would like to share with our viewers, or, something you've really enjoyed about, starting and running this business?
Well, certainly there's challenges. I mean, like anything, but I told my former business partner, now deceased, Mr. Wessel, high school friend. He passed away a few years back, but he and I split up our businesses in 2014. We had a number of manufacturing businesses, and he took one of them, and I took the other ones. That includes Bison. But he always had that tendency to complain about obstacles thrown in front of you from governmental agencies about codes or HR things or legal issues or whatever. And I always told Elmer that if it was easy, everybody would do it. So that is, I kind of view that as a challenge.
I've heard that a few times this week,
actually. How to overcome, how to overcome. So I think that's. I think that's
sticking with it.
It's kind of what an entrepreneur does, and I often have an opportunity to talk about entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurs, and know a lot of entrepreneurs. And one of the things I often say is that there are people who are entrepreneurs who have walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped off maybe without a parachute and started a business, but you don't have to start a business to be an entrepreneur or to be entrepreneurial. We'd like all of our employees to be entrepreneurial. That is creative, risk-taking, all those characteristics that I think characterize a...
Yeah, there can be entrepreneurs within an organization. Absolutely.
It needs to be. There should be.
I think it's funny you just said, absolutely. I always comment people from Northeast Nebraska, that's like our thing. Absolutely. So you're definitely from Fremont. That checks out.
Wow. Okay. If I said, you betcha, where would I be? About clear North Dakota or something like that. You betcha.
We always got made fun of for answering questions with a question or having the question mark at the end of the sentence. I thought that was a Nebraska thing. I never thought about Northeast Nebraska having something specific.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always taught entrepreneurship is watching for and taking advantage of opportunities, and anyone can do that in their daily life.
Yeah.
And the place that they work, and with their families, all of it.
Yeah, you have employees all the time that, see something that could be a change that would make the process better, it's just so fun. So
manufacturing is kind of fun.
Yeah,
you're actually going to touch and feel things.
You see a product made. Yeah. It's kind of like when you go build a house. It's like, we actually built that wall. Wow.
That's why it's not uncommon, even at my advanced age 73, come to work in jeans and go out and plan and work on stuff, because I can actually touch and feel stuff, as opposed to just shuffling papers on my desk.
Yeah.
I do a fair amount of shuffling papers on my desk too.
Sure.
But it's rewarding to
That's
sometimes
cool.
go out in the plant and
I
actually
cannot believe you're 73 actually. So
that's so sweet. Here's $20.
Thanks. I'll take it after the show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for coming in today. It was just really fun to hear your
Yeah.
story and inspire people that are out there with that entrepreneurial spirit. So
Well, good luck to you guys in your new space. Nice new
thank
space
you.
here.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for hosting a thing like this. So it's always good.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
All righty.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you in a few weeks.